with us V. Lee here from Houston, Texas, here to talk about vacation rentals, which is one of my personal favorite topics, especially right now in today's market. But before we get started with the main presentation, I do just have a couple of quick announcements for you guys. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Haley Gant, and I help to run our marketing department here in Houston and work with our team to put on all of these events and educational webinars for you guys. So we host these webinars every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday right here through Zoom, and you can rewatch all of these presentations through our YouTube channel as well. So we've got a ton of education. I hope you guys enjoy today's presentation. And in my quick little announcements here, just kind of want to let you guys know a little bit about who we are at Quest, how we can help you, and as well as some of our upcoming events and promotions that we have going on right now as well. So quick little commercial about us. Who is Quest Trust Company? At the core of our business, we are a self-directed IRA custodian. So we basically teach investors how to utilize their old 401ks and IRAs to invest into assets outside of the stock market. So our clients use their IRAs to invest into real estate, notes, private placements, you name it, you can probably hold title to it in an IRA. And we're really passionate about teaching about all of these different topics, not just about how the IRAs themselves work, but as well as the different investment strategies, due diligence, and different ways that you can make yourself be successful as a real estate investor and make sure that you're taking the time to, structure these deals properly. Which actually leads me right into our disclaimer. Guys, please be aware, we put on a lot of classes, we put on a lot of education, a lot of different guest speakers, but please be aware that at Quest, we do not give tax, legal, or investment advice. We really like to put on these classes, but it's so important that before you enter into investments, make sure that you take the time to work with professionals, make sure you're doing your own due diligence, and that you're not rushing into deals with people that you don't know or that you have not vetted properly. So, we put on a lot of classes, a lot of events, and we're always happy to help you guys learn about these different strategies. Now, we do have some in-person events coming up right now. If you guys have been following us for a while, all of our education has been online for about the last year and a half, but we are bringing back our in-person mixers here in Texas. And these are branded as the Self-Directed IRA Social. So we kicked these off this month here in September. We hosted Houston and actually Austin earlier this week. But coming up next Tuesday, we do have our social that we'll be hosting in our Dallas office. If you guys are in the DFW area and you have not been to our Dallas office, I would definitely encourage you guys, come check it out. We've got a great classroom up there. It's great to meet other investors and to network as well. And in Dallas, we will be talking about do's and don'ts of owning commercial real estate in your IRA coming up this Tuesday. And if you guys are not local, you can watch all of these events online. And if you want to watch the presentations that we hosted in Houston and Austin earlier this month, you can find those replays on our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of great information there, and you can rewatch all of those classes. Also, be sure to stay tuned on our website. You can find all of our events, all of this information. I do actually have Manny, one of our IRA specialists, actually based out of our Dallas office. He's online with us today, moderating today's webinar. So if you guys have IRA questions or questions about our events, feel free to shoot Manny a message. He can get those answered for you. And he's also plugging some of these links to our upcoming events here in the chat as well. So just to kind of recap on the events and education that we have going on right now, we host these webinars every single week. We host a really popular series every Saturday. It's called Self-Directed IRA Saturday. Those are all online webinars. And my personal favorite that we host is our virtual networking happy hours. So these virtual happy hours we host twice a month on the first and third Wednesday of every single month. And where our webinars are more so set up as a Zoom webinar, where we can't see your faces, you guys can't really, unmute yourselves and talk to us. The virtual happy hours are set up as a Zoom meeting. So everyone gets a chance to share their cameras. Everyone gets a chance to introduce themselves to the group, pitch any deals you might have, let people know what you might be looking for. And at the end of all of the introductions, we actually open it up for open conversations at the end. So we have a lot of great conversations here. We've been doing these happy hours for a little over a year now, and they've been really popular. So if you're looking to meet other investors from all across the country, you can do that all online at those events as well. Now, we do have a promotion going on. It actually ends in less than 2 weeks at the end of this month. And this is our rewards for deposits. So if you are a new client looking to get started at Quest, or if you are a current client looking to maybe do your next investment, maybe looking to move some more funds over, we are giving away up to $500 in account credits if you make that move and start to move your funds before the end of this month. Reach out to us, reach out to Manny here in the chat. He can definitely help you either get started or get the process going to get more funds moved over into your Quest account. And you can earn some free money while you do that. But remember, that does end at the end of this month. So just make sure to get that moving, because as you guys may or may not know, whenever you're moving funds from one IRA to another, that does take time. You want to make sure you give yourself enough time for that transfer or that rollover to happen. But reach out to us and we'll help you out with that. And if you have any questions, just let Manny know. Also, we do have a referral program. This is my last slide for you guys, but you know, in real estate, we get so much of our business from word of mouth. If you have friends, family, colleagues, people in your network that could benefit from having a self-directed IRA, make sure to refer them over to us. We'll actually give you each a $25 credit towards your accounts, and there's no limit to the amount of people that you refer to Quest. So if this has helped you out, it's helped your ability to build wealth and diversify your IRA investments, be sure to let other people know, because you know, there's not a lot of education out there about self-directed IRAs. A lot of people have no idea that you can do this, but it is such a huge wealth building tool for you guys out there, especially in the real estate industry. So be sure to share it with the people around you. Helps us out, helps you out. And you know, you can find more information about that on our website. So this is our contact information. If you guys have questions, let us know. We're available for free consultations at any time during our business hours. And you can also chat live with us directly through our website. So this chat feature, it's a real IRA specialist on the other end. We all have our different days that we're assigned to the website chat. But if you have a quick question, if you're on our website, looking around for things, just feel free to shoot us a chat through there. We'll be more than happy to answer your questions and kind of help to guide you in the right direction there. But without further ado, that is the end of my announcements. I hope you guys are excited for today's presentation. I personally love short-term rentals. I invest in them myself. V, you and I have had several conversations about this, so go ahead and take it away. I'm excited to hear your presentation today. And if you guys have questions, put them in the Q&A box. We'll come back on at the end and get all of those answered. And V, that's all I've got. Go ahead and take it away.
Hey, thank you, Haley. Thank you, Quest, for having me here today. It's really an honor. It's always love to be a part of you guys' presentations or whatever I can give back. All right, so I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Give me a thumb up if you can.
Yes, that's great.
Awesome. All right, so short-term rental, what is it all about, right? This industry has been around for decades, but only gotten popular in recent years. And I will give Airbnb credit for that. And in the next 45 minutes, I will discuss about if the home is the right home for short-term rentals and what are some things that you can do to maximize your earnings. And the goal of this is to figure out your numbers and so that you can make good, sound decisions, not just basing on hearsay, because you know and I know people love to throw numbers around about how much they get, this month or this week on Airbnb, right? Okay, so before we go into what all this is about, here's a little quick introduction about me. I used to live life on the fast lane. That was me on a motorcycle at a racing track, and that wasn't Photoshop. So I became a mom, and then I traded my living life on the fast lane to closing deal fast. And that's me today. besides actively buying and selling real estate in Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, I am also a developmental agent for HomeVestor because they trust me and because they've seen my track record, so they appointed me to help coach new franchisees that join the system. And I also really enjoy helping people, and so I do a podcast on the side. If you have time, find it, listen to it, give you some education informations about real estate investing. And lastly, I'm the president of Buzz Vacation Rentals, and what we do is we specialize in managing short-term rentals for our clients. All right, I don't know if you guys can see me, but anyway, give me a thumb up if you're still around.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay.
You're good.
All right, so before we go on, let's get some definitions out of the way. You will rarely hear me say Airbnb. I will say short-term rental for the probably that's all you hear me say, short-term rental. So what is short-term rental? Short-term rental is when you have a place, and whether it's a home or an apartment, and it's being rented out on a nightly basis instead of signing an annual lease. An Airbnb is just a marketplace that allows you to advertise your short-term rental on. Okay, so are we clear on that? All right, awesome. So,
Hey, V, really quick, I'm not sure if your slides are advancing. Are you still on your About Me slide?
Yeah, so.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay, so the questions I get asked every day. I get a lot of calls a day, texts, hey V, I'm running across this home. Is this the right home? Can I do short-term rental with this? And whether it's a beach home, or a lake home, a mountain home, a ski home, or an urban home like in Houston, there's two major questions that I ask. And the first question that I ask is short-term rental allowed? Most people would say, well, I see another listing down the street, so it's got to be allowed. But whatever the neighbors say, whatever if you see other people, the most important thing is to read your deed restrictions and find out from your deed restrictions if short-term rental is allowed. That's the first thing I would advise you to go look at. And if there's a lot of the language on the deed restriction would be like running a business isn't allowed. And honestly, according to the Texas Real Estate Commission, renting your home out on a nightly basis is not considered running a business, is a residential activity. And that's just an FYI for you, okay? I'm actually in the middle of a lawsuit with an HOA on this matter, but we won't have time to go over that here. Reach out to me if you're interested for a story. All right, so once you can answer the questions, is short-term rental allowed? If the answer is yes, then let's go on to the next question. Do the numbers make sense? Because at the end of the day, is it a good business decision? Is it going to make money, right? So, what numbers are we talking about here? There's some basic fundamental that a lot of time I think sometimes we don't think about it. Obviously, if you have income minus expense, it's cash flow. If you have more income, less expense, you have more cash flow. So we can agree on that basic fundamental. So let's go into each of them and talk about your expenses and your income and how we can minimize expense and maximize income. Okay, so upfront cash out of pocket. If you are an investor and you have bought property, you would know, you got the down payment, you got closing costs. If you consider to convert your home into a short-term rental, there is the cost to furnish the entire home, okay? Inside, outside, dishes, glass, wine glass, skillets, and then you got linens and towels. So you make sure that you know the numbers and you budget correctly, so that way your listing will generate income. Now, something I do want to point out here when you talk about furnishing is you rehab or you remodel a home like you live in there, but when you furnish, don't furnish like you live in there. You got to look at your competitors, and then you ask yourself the questions, how can I do better? And also think of the basic amenities that you will have, and you also need to have the Instagrammable amenity. And this term I learned from one of my assistant, a team member, the Instagrammable. And lastly, you need to have washer, dryer, refrigerator. So make sure you budget for all of that into your costs. Okay. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you're still with us. Okay, so and continue on with expenses. So these are all your upfront one-time costs for the home. The linens and the tiles probably an annual cost. And then we got your ongoing monthly expenses. And I list out, these expenses here, but some of them are pretty obvious, as you can see. There's a couple of that I want to go over would be the management fee. So in terms of management fee, do we have any realtor in the house? I can't really see. So think of it like before you became a realtor and you thought 3% commission was really high. And then you got your license and you realize that it actually takes a lot of work to earn that 3%. Same thing with management fee. When a company charged me a lower fee, I would ask questions like, are they going to pass on other fees like credit card processing fee or marketing fees that they charge, the Airbnb or VRBO charge them? Will those fees be passed on to me, or will the management company absorb those fees? Because frankly speaking, the margin is pretty tight to charge a smaller percentage on the management fee. Okay, and then we have some other expenses that you would incur, like perishable items, coffee, sugar, salt, oil. You got toiletry stuff that you need to furnish for your guests. And another big item that you would have is additional liability and damage waiver. I do want to touch on these a little bit because liability is, if your guests get hurt on the property and, you need to have insurance to cover that. You also need to check with your insurance provider to make sure that short-term rental is covered with your policy. There are some providers that do not cover short-term rental, so that's very important. Make sure you check. And damage waiver is when your home get damaged or your furniture get damaged, and there's coverage to replace those items to you. Okay, so we talk about all expenses, right? How do we make money so that we make sure we can cash flow? So this is where it's really important to make an informed decision. There's a lot of free tools out there that will allow you to do rent projections on a home. So if I'm looking at a property and I know that short-term rental is allowed, so I want to come to an educated decision on how much rent is this home going to get me. There's tools like AirDNA, All the Rooms, MashAdvisor. So these are free tools that are available to you that you can go on and type in your address, and it will tell you, what they think you will get. Now, these are all projections or estimates, so they're not really, sure number, but at least it gives you something to base off of, so you can have an idea of, where your home would perform. And you may be below, you may be above, it's all depends on how you prepare your home, so that you can be, whether you're in the 50 percentile or 90 percentile. Then you have the pricing tools, which will help you to price your home properly, because you don't want to underprice or overprice. If you underprice, then you don't make enough, you're missing out on the revenue. If you overprice, then you don't get enough booking and you have low occupancy. So these tools are not free. The pricing tools are not free. Now, Airbnb also have suggested price, but we hardly use Airbnb pricing because they are, realistically speaking, lower than where we should be. So some of these tools, I know PriceLab is available to property owner, Wheelhouse and Beyond Pricing. I believe they only available to property managers. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? Okay, good. So the way we always do the pricings is to maximize our earning, we always, look at events, what's going on in the area, in your local area. We look at our overall homes portfolio altogether. Is occupancy high or is occupancy low? Do we need to adjust the price so we get more booking? This is a very interactive part of the business. It's not a set it, forget it type of thing. So, if you want to maximize your earning, you need to go and do this like daily. Okay. So for us, our goal is on these homes is that we try to aim at $1,000 cash flow a month and to get a 20% cash on cash return. But again, to get there, you have to do it right. No cutting corners. You have to really do it right every step of the way. Okay, and most of it begin once you do your due diligence and you do your research and you think you have a chance, then it begins right here, guys. It's preparing your home to stand out, to be safe, and to be secure. And I will explain what it all means. But let's look at some photos, okay? So I pulled out some of the listing from Airbnb to show you. And if you look at these sets of photo, and then these sets of photos, and this as a photo, clearly you can see, you get my point is, which home would you book if you scan through these sets of photos, right? So your guests, before they decide to book your home, they will look at a lot of photos and they will make decision based on the photos and obviously some pricing, into effect, but they look, your photos do a lot, and it's very important in presenting, your property. So a tip here is obviously to furnish your home properly, and please do hire a professional photographer. Okay, don't be cheap. Don't take pictures with your iPhone and not, because you already put, hurting yourself there already. And another tip is don't use wide lens angle. Tell your photographer to use just the normal lens, because you want to showcase your home in warm, welcoming photos and not distorted images, because you don't want your guests to show up and say, well, your home do not look like the picture, so lighting is important, the angle is important, and these are home pictures that tell your guests a story of what they're gonna get if they stay at your home. They're not like MLS picture. So once again, it's very important to tell your photographer, but you gotta help your photographer to showcase the feature, the amenity that you want your guests to see. All right. So furnishing and presentations of the home correctly will get you 60-70% there. The next thing you want to make sure you cover is that you prepare your home to minimize damages and issues. So for us, we make sure that all of our homes are protected. Okay. Please have mattress encasement and pillow protector, and do protect your sofa, your upholstery, furniture. Just think of yourself as a guest, and you come stay at these home, the mattresses, and it's not, it doesn't have a mattress protector. It's pretty gross, So please do spend that investment. We also provide exterior camera for security, smart lock, noise monitoring, because these devices will help us to keep our home safe and secure and make sure that the guests are not having a party or a gathering, or being a nuisance to the neighbors. Because it's a long-term business for us, and we really do care about our neighbors. We do not, just accept anybody or to allow anyone to do anything at the home. And then provide amenities. Do your research. Look at your competitors. See what kind of amenities that you can provide to stand out. Something I do want to talk about is the bunk bed. Here's a misconception that I hear a lot is this is what I hear a lot, is that they want to put as many people in the home as possible. But I will tell you that it may not really generate you the additional income that you had hoped for. Because more people just mean more wear and tear and more noise and more problem. So you got to make a decision of, okay, well, and how we come to a decision of how many people we want to have in the home is we have a rule of 2 per bedroom, 2 to 4. And then if we have more bathroom, then we can add more people. Just think about 10, 12 people having to share 2 bathrooms. It's not very, comfortable. Okay. So we really keep the number of people, number of guests, or number of the guests the house can host based on number of bedroom and bathroom, and so that they can be comfortable. So bunk bed. Okay, so people want to put more bunk beds so that they can advertise sleep 20 instead of sleep 10. Bunk beds is a liability, and we actually doing away with a lot of the bunk beds. And I'm not saying that it's always right, but I'm just saying that's what we choose to do because it's a liability. The ladders break, the people climbing up and down, and things could happen with the bunk bed. Let's see. And if you have, pool, if your house is waterfront and whatnot, you do want to make sure that you have that additional liability coverage in the event of, something happen, unexpected accident or whatnot, that you are covered. Because last thing we want to do is to be tied up in a lawsuit and not having enough money to cover your, the damages. Okay, so you went through all this, you got your home all ready, and you wrote a beautiful descriptions, very beautiful, very inviting descriptions about your home. The next item is you gotta get eyeballs on your home, right? Because if you don't have eyeball, then no one's gonna see it. You have a beautiful home, beautiful place, but no one can see it. So marketing your home, that's another, beast on its own. I put some of the listing here, and first thing most people do actually is to go on Airbnb and get it listed. And you could go on Airbnb and get a listing live in probably 5 minutes. It's pretty easy. But if you only put your home on Airbnb, then you limit yourself to just Airbnb. So you want to be able to put your home on, more marketplace, because more marketplace you have, the more eyeballs you can get on your listing. The downside to that is, well, how do you sync your calendar? How do you manage? How do you know how to work with each of the listing sites? So make sure that, you do want to get many eyeballs on your listing, but you also want to make sure you're familiar with the rules of that listing site that you put your property on. So I do a comparison between these major sites here, and everybody, I think most people know Airbnb. The other one is Vrbo or HomeAway. They used to be two separate companies, but now they merged and they are one. And also they are part of Expedia. So if you list it on Vrbo, HomeAway, you also list it on Expedia. Another big marketplace is TripAdvisor and Flipkey. I think they're bigger in other part of the world than they are in the US. So is Booking.com. So I put down some basic comparison here for you guys to see. You can, choose to make your decision of how you want to, where you want to list, how many places you want to list on, and then find out how each of these sites work. The idea is, again, to get your home out to as many people as possible. The more people see it, the more chance you have of it getting booked. All right, so one other tip, now that you get your home out ready, get it listed live on these sites. Very, very important, because we are in the hospitality industry at this point, and when you're in the hospitality industry, people do read reviews. Okay, so yes, you need to be nice, and if you can't be nice, then hire somebody who can. And the guests are always right. Well, maybe not, but you get the idea. When you have good rating, these sites do serve your listing up more, so more people will see it. What Airbnb does is, if you get below certain rating, they will deactivate your listing for a period of time. So during that time, your guests will not be able to search you, and they will not be able to book you. So it's important to maintain your good ratings and reviews. This does affect your income if you only rely on Airbnb for your marketing. The next tip that I want to share with you on maximizing, and if this is something that you want to do, for the long haul, is that you need to start documenting everything. Okay? And I mean everything. We at Buzz Vacation Rentals, we have a book of things, a book of operating manual, but I kid you not, every week we're adding new items to that book. So, some of these important things, like, how do you accept payments? Now, if you're on Airbnb, yes, they process the payment for you, but how do you track them to make sure that you get paid for every reservations and you get paid the right amount? So that's something that you need to track and know, right? And then when you have a maintenance call, how do you handle it? How do you do check-in, check-out? Do you make your guests sign a rental agreement? Do you not? And if you don't, you need to. That will also protect you. What time is check-in? What time is check-out? Whenever the guest's gonna check out late, they want to check in early. What's the process? Do you allow it? Do you not allow it? Are you gonna charge a fee for it? All these things are very, very important. And you got to make that decision early on on some of these things. And I think the most, if you don't know the answer, look at your competition, see what they do. What do most of your competition do? What time do they allow check-in and what time do they allow check-out? Okay. And then, how do you schedule housekeeper? What's the process look like? When the guests check out, who's going to notify the housekeeper? How do you do quality control to make sure that the home is clean properly and ready for the next guest? Especially now with COVID, people just freak out about everything, And then this really big thing that we have now is bugs. Who lives in Texas? If you live in Texas, we get bugs in the home. No matter how clean your home is, you're going to have a roach every now and then. You're going to have some kind of bug every now and then. But to these guests, if they show up and they see a roach, it's a big no-no. And they think you didn't clean your house properly. So how do you handle things like that, right? And that leads to complaints. You're going to... it's no matter how well you are prepared, you're gonna get a complaint. So when you do, just take a deep breath and deal with it. So these are some of the items, but the list go on and on and on about, all these. It's a lot of things. Like I said, we have a whole book about operating procedures, and we're still adding things to our book. Okay, I'm almost getting through with the slides, so I think we will have time to go into Q&A. And I know I went through the first few slides really quickly here. All right, so document everything. And lastly, if this is a lot for you, like if you don't have crew to handle maintenance, if you're not interested in answering your guest inquiry like at 11 p.m., or on Sunday afternoon, get a maintenance call. If you're not interested in talking to your guests and showing them things they should do in your area and all of that, then maybe you should consider hiring a company. And when you do, you need to go to a short-term rental management company, not just a management company, because it's a different setup, guy. I've had people that say, well, V, I'm gonna go with my long-term rental company said they can manage my short-term for me, and I'm gonna go with them. I will tell you that they probably don't know what they get themselves into, because it is a lot of work. It is a totally different game than long-term rental. So when you consider hiring a short-term rental company, I do ask these questions. How will they help you to grow? Are they gonna, if you get one, do they give you the right recommendations, suggestions to prepare your home correctly? Do they care about you as an individual? This is what I really like here. Do they treat you like the one or one of many? And that go tie into, is this a local company or is it a national company? I think these are very important, because some of these national company, they may have, advertised that they have infrastructure in place and to set it up and all, but they lack the local component, like the expertise in what you can provide your guests, your tour, your guide of what they can do, where they can go to hang out, what's the best place to eat at, those kind of things that the national company may not have. So when you do consider that this is not something for you and you want to hire a company, then you want to look at them closely. There are also companies that are hybrid, like Evolve, where they don't do full service management. They only do part of it, like answering inquiry and get the booking, but they don't necessarily handle the maintenance or the housekeeping, or the boots on the ground type of things. Is what they don't handle. So they charge a smaller fee. So if that's something that works for you, that's great. Or if you say, I want to get somebody who can take care of my property and I don't have to worry about it anymore, then you probably want to go with a full service company instead of a hybrid model. What else do we need to talk about here? Now make sure you get a reputable, trusted company because they keep your money. So one of the things that happened during COVID was that these management company, you have to remember that when the guests book the stay, they have to pay for it up front, and the money go to the management company. And some management company can over leverage. They use that money for other purpose, hoping that they will get future reservations to make up for the money that they spend that they haven't earned. And when, excuse my language, when COVID hit, or shit hit the fan, they don't have that incoming revenue to make up for the revenue that they already spent. So make sure that you go with a company that have their accounting affair in order. That's very, very, very important, because if they don't, if their accounting is messy, then it doesn't matter how much revenue your home brings, you'll never see a dollar of it. And that's probably one of the biggest thing in considering a management company. Okay, so I think that is reaching the end of the presentations, and now I'd like to open the floor for questions.
Awesome. So we definitely have a few questions coming in, and I wrote down a few of my own as well. So feel free to keep your screen shared. That way people can see your contact information in case they want to reach out to you. But let's see here. Let's kind of go into the Q&A box here. Let's see. This one here kind of came in towards the beginning of the presentation. Should we rent our home on Airbnb for more than 28 days? And if we do that, how does it work? It's kind of a long-term, short-term rental.
Actually, yes, you can. You can, and you can dictate the terms on Airbnb. You can set the minimum nights required to book. Whether you want to do it long, 2 nights, 3 nights, or 28, 29 nights, or 30 nights. Yeah, the short answer is yes. And how does it work? The same way as if you would do what long-term, shorter terms. And the difference here is, so in short-term rental, you do have to pay, collect hotel taxes from your guests and then remit it at a later point. If you list on Airbnb, you have the option for Airbnb to collect it and pay it for you. Okay? In Texas, if the guest book for more than 29 nights, then they don't have to pay that hotel tax. So it's just something to consider there.
Nice. That's very interesting. Yeah. All right. Next question here. This is a good one. How often do you have to repair or replace furniture due to damages from guests, assuming that this is normal wear and tear and not just from a one-night stay?
Normal wear and tear, back to what I was saying earlier, is how well you prepare your home, how well you, where do you buy your furniture? If you buy them from IKEA, you're probably gonna have to replace them frequently. I will tell you that our bed break very often. I don't know what people do, but the slat get broken, the leg get broken. So now we do the metal frame. They're a little bit more durable with the headboard, instead of like buying the bed platform. Okay, so that's one of the things that we've changed. As far as your sofa go, treat them, do the fabric guard protector and whatnot so that it can last you longer. It just really depends on how well your housekeeper helped you to keep up with the home. If you have good housekeeper, your furniture can probably last you 4 or 5 years, or you can change them as you see fit. If you don't have good housekeeper, you can change them in a couple of reservations. It all depends. But one thing I want to point out is this is where you need to have that damage waiver. Some people say, well, V, but I don't want to pay for it. But I'll tell you that when you have that damage waiver in place, when something happens to your couch, you make a claim. And if you use us as your management company, we'll take care of all of it for you. So we make the claim, you don't even know about it. You only know when you get a new couch. So it's
Nice.
been working wonderful.
Show up and all the furniture is different.
Yes.
But that's good. It's definitely something good to have in place because you never need it until you need it and things get damaged. And it definitely does happen occasionally. So that was a good question there. Let's see. One of our attendees wants to know, how big of a team/management company do you have to manage your properties?
Do we have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have a guest service team that is almost 24/7. And we have maintenance team, and we have housekeeping team, and we have a property care manager who's in charge of putting those people together, and me. So our team right now is our full-time staff is a team of 5, and then we have a team of contractor like housekeeper, maintenance, the other team to handle the property.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, it's a 24/7 job.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly why you want to have the management company in place because, for me, I don't want to get the calls at 2 a.m. They can call the management company, we'll pay the fee and have them handle everything from there.
That's right. Yeah, let me wake up at 2 a.m. because I'll tell you, about a couple weeks ago, we got these guests that arrived at 2 a.m. literally, and they said they couldn't get in. And it's because they did not just enter the code correctly, so I had to, get up, get on the phone and walk them through the process.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Yeah. All right. Awesome. And then kind of a follow-up question there. What's the typical fee or percentage that someone should expect to pay a management company?
So I think that was listed early on is between 15 to 35% is the range. And I know it's a wide range because you have hybrid company that charge you lower percentage in the beginning, but they will have these add-on fees. Okay. And then you have company that charge you on the high spectrum is 35%. And the fees is based off of your nightly rent. So if you rent for $100, then they will charge you a percentage of that. Okay. So our fee is 25%, and we don't add on, we don't tackle on, we don't pass on other fees to the guests, to the owners.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So a lot of that does get passed on to the guest, if I understood that correctly.
No, I'm sorry, I misspoke. No, the fees do not get passed to the guests. There's the fees that the guests pay. And I think you brought up a good point. Early on in my presentation on expenses, I did not mention anything about a checkout cleaning fee because the guests do pay for that fee. Okay, the homeowners do not pay for the fees. The guests do. Now, the management fee, like I said, our fee is 25%, and that's all you get charged, just the management fee. There's some company that will charge you a smaller percentage, but then they will pass on fees like if Airbnb charge them 3%, they will pass that on to you, the homeowner. If Verbo charge them 5%, they will pass that on to you, the homeowner. So wherever they market your property, if that marketplace or that listing site charge a percentage, they will pass it on to the homeowners. So just make sure that you get clear with the management company about what fees they will charge you or pass on to you.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Awesome. And kind of speaking of location, obviously with Airbnbs, location is everything. What areas do you like to invest into short-term rentals? And, do you have any other type of insight there as far as location goes?
So I get this a lot, right? Because where do I need to have my home? Do I need to be on the beach? Do I need to be on the lake? You can. However, I would really base it on, is it allowed first? Then if it's allowed, then okay, well, what are the nearby attractions? Why do people travel to this little pocket? We have homes in typical neighborhood, like in Spring, where you would say, well, who would go to Spring? What is in Spring? It's just a normal neighborhood, but it's performing well because you have the working people or people who need a home too, because their home is under construction, because they're in the process of, building a new home. There's always a need. So question about location is really, it boiled down to how convenient is it to get to places. What's nearby? Do you have hospital nearby? Do you have school nearby? Airport nearby? That's more so than do I need to be close to there's different location will perform differently.
Definitely. All right. See, so we've got a couple really long questions coming in. So I'm going to try to answer the general ones just kind of due to time. How much linens do you provide? How do you know how many sheets, how many towels? Does your maid take care of this? Do you have any insight here as far as what types of linens should be provided in these houses?
So the rule is we need to have 3 sets. Okay. One on the shelf. We say on the shelf meaning out on the bed in the home, one with the laundry to be washed, and one in the closet for accidental. So 3 sets, because you don't want to have to scramble to replace a towel or a sheet when they get too stained or damaged or get lost or stolen. So 3 sets is what we have.
Nice. Yeah. Good rule of thumb there.
Yeah.
What about cancellation policies? I know personally when I've booked Airbnbs, all of the houses have different cancellation policies. Which one do you prefer and why? Do you allow for cancellations? Do they have up until a certain date? How do you work that with your short-term rentals?
That one is a personal preference. So it depends on how since COVID, people wait to really last minute to book. They really wait, literally, like we have a blank calendar, and suddenly within hours they all get booked because people really wait to last minute. So it's called the leading time, and usually now it's about 7 days prior to arrival is when people start booking. Our cancellation policy is 30 days. So if it's non-refundable, 30 days prior to arrival. We've playing around with the idea of, do we want to shorten that period to be 2 weeks or so? But it hadn't hurt us. We keep it at 30 days, and we consider everything else case by case. So if it's a real emergency or real situations, then we can say, okay, well, we won't refund it, but you can use it for future reservation. So that's another way that we mitigate that. Or we say, well, you should buy trip insurance. So in case you can't make your trip anymore, you have trip insurance to take care of you.
Yeah, that's some great information there. All right. Last question that we have from our attendees here today. What type of security systems do you use? Do you use Ring, the other services? Do you have a preference there and any insight?
Security system, we don't have alarm. We have cameras, because in the past we have had alarms, and I will tell you, often we get calls from the alarm company because so and so didn't turn it off in time. So it becomes more of a hassle than it does help. So we do not have alarm. We have security cameras, and we have monitoring devices in the home that will tell us when there's people in the home.
Nice.
And our camera system, we use Arlo because it's easy to install. They wireless, versus some other system that you have to hook up wire, power, all of that stuff. So we use Arlo. We really just want to be easy.
Nice. Good. So Arlo, good information there.
Yeah, Arlo.
Awesome. So we've made it through all the questions from the attendees, guys. You had some great questions today. V, you mentioned something about like either like a checklist or a book. So do you have a book about Airbnbs to get started? Kind of tell us a little bit more about what you're referring to there.
No, I haven't written a book yet. This book is actually for our team internally. It's called our operating manual, so that the team can go and find out answers that they need to guess questions or situations and whatnot. So that way we can be uniform all the time. So yes, so we have a manual for that. We do have checklists for like pre-arrival checklists, that kind of thing, or a cleaning checklist, inspection checklist. We have checklists for everything.
Yeah. And if someone's new looking to get started into vacation rentals, are there places that they can find these checklists online? Do they have to start them themselves? How did you guys kind of build that out?
We exchange with other managers, and that we in our network. We connect with them and we exchange checklists and informations and rental agreement. I'm happy to share some of the checklists if anyone wants, and reach out to me, shoot me an email, and we can probably share the checklist with you. We can share the rental agreement with you. It's no secret. There's a lot of places that you can get information online. There's some good blogger, like I think Evolve has some good blog on these topics, like the checklist, the how to furnish the home and that kind of thing. That you can probably Google. There's a group that that I'm involved with is VRMA, and they are having a conference upcoming in October. And this is more than just Airbnb, though. This is for Vacation Rental Manager Association. I think it's VRMA. So it's beyond Airbnb.
Nice. That's awesome. I'll have to look into that because, my boyfriend and I were getting into Airbnbs. Yeah. We're starting to buy some out of state, which is really exciting. So definitely that management portion of it is extremely important, especially if you're buying properties, in areas that are not driving distance. They're further away. So I think that's some really great insight to kind of end the class on here today. So V, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a joy to have you here. I hope that you guys out there learned something. I know I definitely learned a few things and took a few notes myself. Vacation rentals are a great market to be in. You've got to make sure you've done your homework. You've got to do it right. But hopefully this was helpful to you guys today. V, before we sign off, do you have any last closing words or thoughts before we leave our audience for today?
Well, I do want to thank everyone for being here. If you have any questions that we didn't cover, or if you want to talk to me one-on-one about some property that you're looking at, give me an email. This is the office number, so you can call too and just leave a message and they'll pass it on to me. If you do, this is a very profitable business if you do it right, but you got to know your numbers. Don't listen to guru people, claiming they're making a lot of money and whatnot. The numbers don't lie. So look at the numbers. And if you're not sure about your numbers, reach out. I'm happy to help.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, V. Well, I think that's a great place to kind of end the class here today. So thank you guys to everyone out there for joining us. If you want to rewatch today's class, you can find it on our YouTube channel, as well as all of our other webinars. And hopefully we'll see some of you local people at our self-directed IRA socials coming up here in Texas. If you have questions, let us know. We're more than happy to help. And I hope that everyone has a great day.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, V. See you later.
See ya.